Hi everyone. I just wanted to focus this week's video on managing your meeting permissions. Now, there are three permission options that you have within Teams. So, the first one would be a standard meeting that we should all be comfortable with at this point if you've been doing live lessons. And that would be where you're the only presenter within the meeting and every other attendee within Teams does not have the permission to share screen or unmute anyone. The second option would be where you have more than one presenter. So that could be if you were co-op teaching, it could be if you've got a student teacher coming to the department. But essentially you want two people to have those share screen options and mute and unmute options, but the rest of the attendees do not have those permissions. And the third option would be where you want everyone attending to have presenter options. So that could be useful for any departmental meetings or meetings within the authority where you might want multiple people to share your screen and you have no pupils within the class at all. It's all adults or fellow teachers, and you are comfortable giving them that permission and that responsibility. So I'm just going to talk you through the three options today. For the first one, you are just setting your meeting as usual. So you would schedule a meeting. You would put your meeting here, so it would be meeting 1. You could put required attendees if you so wish. You would schedule the time, whether it repeats, what team you wanted to post in, and details for the meeting. For meeting 2, that would be for when you want more than one presenter, and that could be a fellow teacher or it could be another member of staff, but someone else who you would want them to have the option to mute and unmute anyone else and to also share their screen. So if, for example, I wanted one of the other members of the physics department to have this permission if we were going to co-op teach in some way, I would send that directly to them in this attendees box. Now you can send pupils direct attendees and that doesn't necessarily mean that they've got the permissions. I'm going to explain in a little minute how you give specific people those advantages. But if you do want another person to have those advantages, it's really, really important that you put them in this section in the meeting. You can add them in at a later date. It doesn't have to be exactly when you're creating the meeting for the first time, but they have to be in this section. So for Mrs. Wiley, I want her to have this permission, so I've added her name in here. I would then do exactly the same thing as before. I would schedule a meeting. I'm just going to schedule this for much later on. And whether I want it to repeat or not. And then details of this meeting. So example, meeting 2. And then I would click send. So what that does is it creates the meeting, me as the presenter, but it also emails Mrs. Wiley and lets her know that she is requested to attend the meeting at 5 o'clock tonight. Now, if I wanted Mrs. Wiley to also have the presenting options, you would click on the meeting again and you could change the meeting options. So you can do this either on the meeting itself or you can change it before the meeting. If you click this meeting options link here, open link, it will open you directly to an area where you can change the permissions of the meeting and make a presenter. So I'm just going to do that just now. When you click open that link, it should take you to a page like this, and it gives you a few meeting options, for example, who can bypass the lobby or who can present. Now the one that we're focused on today is who can present. So at the moment it's set at only me, but if I want it to be a specific person, then I would click specific people and then search for participants. So the only person that should be able to come up here, because the only person that I've put as a required attendee for that meeting is Mrs. Wiley. So that means that when we join that meeting and when Mrs. Wiley joins that meeting, she will automatically have those permissions as long as I click save. Now, if I wanted to, in the same way, create a meeting where everyone had those permissions, instead of clicking just a specific person here, you would then click everyone. So everyone who enters that meeting will have the screen sharing option, and then you would click save. So that's the difference between making a specific person or a limited amount of people able to share their screen, or whether you want everyone who enters that meeting to be able to share their screen. That would not be a suitable option for a classroom setting, so something where you would want That would give pupils all the permission to mute and unmute each other and also share their screen. But what could be an option is the specific people, because you can let another teacher in there, or the only me function because it means that you're in control of that situation. Another way of changing the permissions within a meeting is when you're already in the meeting scheduled. So what I've done here is I've asked Mrs. Wallace to join a meeting with me, and I have done the same process, followed the same process as I did with Mrs. Wiley. We've joined the meeting, and as you can see, when you click on the participants bar, you can make an attendee again. So even if you wanted to remove that permission later on, then you can do so. The main focus that I want to show you is within the meeting options function. Now, all of the details that you had on that web page are available directly in the meeting. So you can change who can present within the meeting, whether you want it to be specific people, whether you want it to be everyone, or if you want people to bypass the lobby, exactly the same way as you can see in this web page. I hope that's of some use for you today. If there is any questions at all about the 3 meeting options, please get in touch.